From Voldemort to the Joker, these villains have made such a big impact on pop culture, they're even more popular than the hero. Like, who doesn't love Gollum from The Lord of the Rings?
Mustn't ask us, not his business. No. Gollum, Gollum.
You guys remember this cute little guy obsessed with the One Ring, don't you? Well, how could you not? This dude's even more popular than Frodo himself. And I might be exaggerating here, but don't you think fans quote him more than Sauron? Like, yeah, the other guy didn't have any dialogue, but the kind of presence Gollum had, plus the way Andy Serkis carried the character, made him a lot more popular, and even liked among the fans. Iconic is the word, dudes, and that's the word I'll use for Ursula too.
It's rude. One might question your upbringing. Now, then, you're here because you have a thing.
Honestly, she isn't on top of the best Disney villains list for nothing. For one, she's got a wit sharper than anyone else in Triton's kingdom. And for another, she's actually pretty badass. For a woman who has the power to look like anyone, but chooses to be a half-octopus, white-haired villain with that drag queen-inspired makeup is someone who definitely fits the vibe. Plus, if you asked me to pick one from either her or Ariel, who traded her voice and her entire life, also she could be with a dude who was a jerk to her pretty much the whole time until the end, I'd pick Ursula, thank you. And while we're on the topic of picking sides, let me just say, Megamind would be a great villain to have on your side as well.
Predictable? Oh, you call this predictable?
What's not to like about the dude? He's funny, can be a total fuzzball, and that quirky persona is what makes everyone tick. Plus, he's so much more interesting than Metro Man, whose name alone makes me want to take a long nap and just snooze off. What? The guy was boring. I'd rather hang out with Megamind instead. Plus, if you think about it, he's actually a pretty well-rounded character, so I don't blame anyone who likes him more than the hero here. And the same goes for Scar. Like, yes, I know.
Life's not fair, is it? You see, I shall never be king.
He should not have killed Mufasa that way, especially now that we know he was probably feasting on his carcass later. Sorry, but when it comes to personality, he's a lot more fun and relatable than Simba, whose entire identity in more than half of the film was his trauma. Like, I get that. I'm a great trauma dumper too, but the sass, leadership, and even fear Scar emitted was a lot superior to anyone from the tribe, except for Nala, who should have been the leader of the pack in my opinion. But that's a discussion for later. For now, let's move on to my next pick, Voldemort, the ultimate baddie in the Harry Potter universe.
You put your faith in me. Harry Potter is dead! And now is the time to declare yourself.
His past, his motives, and his appearance are just so intriguing. He's got a pretty unique look too, with that snake-like nose and those piercing red eyes. Plus, you can't deny that he's got a way with words, even with snakes. He's always got a snappy comeback, and he never fails to make an impact. Just look at that entry. The only guy who can match that is Dumbledore. But let's not forget, Voldy's got some pretty impressive magic skills. You wouldn't want to cross this guy in a dark alley or anywhere for that matter. But for all of his evil ways, he's just so charismatic. And it's all these reasons that have given him a pretty solid fan base. People love him for his bad boy image and his cunning intelligence. So yeah, it's not surprising that he's more popular than Harry, or any of the good guys for that matter. And speaking of dark, brooding villains with a twisted sense of humor, let's also talk about the Joker.
And I thought my jokes were bad. How about a magic trick?
This guy is like the clown prince of crime, always making us laugh and shiver at the same time. He's got style, he's got charisma, and he's got a plan, most of the time. The Joker's always one step ahead, always leaving Batman and the rest of Gotham City guessing. He's the kind of villain that's both terrifying and fascinating, and I can't help but be drawn to his chaotic energy. Whether he's Heath Ledger's brooding anarchist in The Dark Knight, or Jack Nicholson's wild and crazy crime boss in Tim Burton's Batman, man, the Joker is the kind of villain that always leaves a lasting impression. His iconic villainy is truly the stuff of comics. And now that we've talked about the King of Chaos, let's move on to the King of Fear. Can you guess who? Hold your horses, or actually balloons. Let's discuss the one and only Pennywise the Clown.
Where you going, Ed? If you lived here, you'd be home by now.
Who could be a great ally to the Joker if you asked me. The dude is the stuff of nightmares. But boy, do we love a good scare. Maybe that's why he's become such a pop cultural icon. Whether it's his creepy grin or that red balloon, Pennywise has cemented himself as a true icon of horror. So let's give a round of applause to the clown that has us all shaking in our boots. Although, let's not venture out to any dark alleyways or rainy gutters while we're at it. And the same goes for my next villain too. Unless you want to become their dinner feast. You've probably guessed that I'm talking about Hannibal Lecter, the sophisticated cannibal who's got a taste for the finer things in life, and a palate that'll make you want to swear off all food. But who can resist the allure of a villain who's got brains and style? Lecter's got a way with words and a hypnotic charm that makes you forget just how dangerous he really is. So let's raise a glass to the villain who's always dressed to the nines and always ready to take a bite out of his latest victim. Speaking of villains who are always dressed to impress though, have you met Norman Bates, the owner of the Bates Motel, who's got a mother complex that's truly out of this world? With his sharp suits and old-fashioned charm, it's easy to forget that Norman's got a dark side. But don't let the clean-cut appearance fool you. Bates is a master of disguise, hiding his true intentions behind a friendly smile. So let's give a nod to the man who's got everyone checking in, but never checking out. I wouldn't recommend spending the night at the Bates Motel, or you might end up becoming just another one of Norman's little taxidermy projects. But even his dangerous charm can't match the ultimate Dark Lord of all time, Darth Vader, the ultimate symbol of evil in a galaxy far, far away, who's got a grip on the Force and the hearts of Star Wars fans everywhere. With his iconic black armor and sinister breath and that iconic score, Vader commands respect and fear from friends and enemies alike. But underneath that cold exterior lies a man with a tragic past, a man with a troubled soul and a hunger for power. So let's raise a lightsaber to the villain who strikes fear into the hearts of all, and to the man who showed us the true power of the dark side. Now that I'm almost done with my list, I wouldn't be surprised if you've already figured out my next pick, a mischief maker and a trickster through and through. It's none other than the Norse god of chaos himself, Loki. With his cunning wit and silver tongue, Loki's always got a few tricks up his sleeve. Whether it's manipulating the mighty Thor or posing as a king and ruling over Asgard. But who can resist the allure of a villain who's always keeping us on our toes? Loki's got a mischievous grin and a charisma that's hard to resist. So let's raise a glass to the villain who's always keeping us entertained and always keeping us guessing about what he'll do next. So, how'd you like my list? Let me know your favorite villain from these in the comments, and I'll see you